Trudeau Show.
I am exposing the corruption in government and in major multinational corporations. We're telling you the things that they don't want you to know that will make your life better.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening, wherever you are from around the world. Kevin Trudeau here. This is everything they don't want you to know about. Just got the show launched a few weeks ago. Subscribers are signing up every single day. People are viewing the videos we have every single day. And a lot of that is because of what you're doing. This is going to be a great show today. Fantastic show. We're going to get right into the non-controversial current events. How's that? A couple current events. Now, I am going to talk about testosterone. I promised you last week. Guys and gals, you need to hear this about what's going on with testosterone, specifically in America, but all around the world. We're going to talk about current events. We're going to talk about losing weight. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of great things today. So first off, you are being lied to everywhere. In the mainstream media, you're being lied to not only in the mainstream media, but in the alternative media as well. You're being lied to all around social media. The information flow to you from the major news sources, we'll call it mainstream media, the major newspapers, the major television stations, the major radio stations, the major magazines around the world. This is not just in America, around the world. These organizations, the major ones, are all state-controlled propaganda machines. Oh my gosh. Kevin, how can you say that? How can you make such a crazy statement? We have a free press in America. I can understand that about Russia or North Korea or Iran, but not in America. We have a free press, not in Germany or the UK. There's got the BBC in the UK. Not in Switzerland, not in Japan. What do you mean state-controlled media? Please. Well, welcome to Fantasyland. You are living a delusional life if you think that the mainstream media is not 100% controlled. Okay, maybe not 100% controlled. 90% controlled by the governments and the powers that be. Primarily the secret societies, Bilderberg Group, which controls it. And some people don't even know what the Bilderberg Group is. I'm going to talk about that. I've been at the meetings. I'm there. I don't just know about it, I know what goes on behind closed doors because I was behind closed doors. I was involved in these briefings. I was involved with these meetings that are never reported on. The Bilderberg Group gets together the most powerful people on planet Earth, including presidents, prime ministers, kings, members of royal families, the richest people on the planet, those who control the media, those who are involved in all of the media, those who control all of the major corporations around the world, the members and the top people in the Federal Reserve and the federal banking systems around the world, they meet. And this is never reported on in the mainstream media. There's more powerful people there than the G8, or it's the G6 now, or G7, or whatever it is now. This is the most powerful group of people, the largest meeting of powerful people on planet Earth. They meet once a year. Almost all of them are members of secret societies, including Skull and Bones and the Brotherhood, which is why I was there. And they basically map out the global agenda for the planet. So on this show, you're not hearing just about something that we know about, some conspiracy theory. It's really what is happening behind the scenes from firsthand experience. So let's go back to the mainstream media and the fact that you're being lied to and controlled. And the reason why I'm telling you this is not to make you feel hopeless or powerless, but actually to open up your eyes, awaken you, take you out of your trance so you can become powerful. I want you to just think about how you feel right now. how you feel. Because by the end of the show, you are going to feel better. You're going to feel in control of your life. You're going to feel like I gave you more control of your life. You're going to feel more powerful. You're not going to feel helpless. You're going to say, hey, I know how the magic trick is done now. So when it's being done to me, aha, I will not be controlled or manipulated to the same degree that I used to be when I was in a trance and asleep and completely unknowing to what was happening to me. When I traveled back in 1999, I had a good friend. His name was President Mikhail Gorbachev and his wife, Reza. If you go to the fan club website, KevinTrudeauFanClub.com, if you go to that website, we don't have to put it on the screen, but if you go to that website, KevinTrudeauFanClub.com, there's a gallery and there's pictures of me and President Gorbachev and his wife, Reza. And right behind us is a Gulfstream. It's our private plane that we were traveling around the world with. This guy was the former president of the Soviet Union. This is when they had the KGB. And we were chatting on the plane via an interpreter because he didn't speak English and I don't speak Russian. We were chatting about the KGB because this is after he was the president and the collapse of the Soviet Union. And he was saying, well, the KGB, as you know, and he knows by background with the Brotherhood and the CIA, he goes, as you know, the KGB and the CIA work on mind control techniques. They have for decades. It goes back to World War II. Before the CIA was started, it was called the OSS. Later, they had a program in the CIA called MK Ultra, where they controlled individuals, making them unknown assassins. And there was a movie series called the Bourne series, or the Bourne Identity, Jason Bourne, which is loosely based on MK Ultra. And I was part of that program as well. I knew that, so he knew that I knew how we did mind control, how we would set up individuals who would look at screens where we would monitor their eye movements and monitor what parts of the brain got activated. And with certain music frequencies tied in specifically to certain images and certain hypnotic language patterns that were used in the speech at certain frequencies with certain tonality, we learned how to trigger certain parts of the brain so that a suggestion could go in and the person could become instantly suggestible. He could be given an implanted suggestion, which he didn't even realize was there, and it would control his thoughts, his emotions, and his actions. And some of you are saying, Kevin, this sounds like some type of science fiction stuff. Please, oh no, where are you going? Oh really, science fiction? Hey, why don't you go to a hypnotist show? Just go to any type of hypnotist show. And the hypnotist will bring people up. The amazing Kreskin, as you know, is a good friend of mine, and he used to do this all the time. But Marshall Silver, he was a stage hypnotist in Vegas, good friend of mine. Matter of fact, I just was talking to him the other day. There are hypnotists all over the world, and they do hypnotist shows, and they bring people up on stage, and they basically say, sleep, and the person just goes. When you awake, when I snap my fingers, you will act like a chicken. Wake. And the guy wakes up. Is that like some type of crazy science fiction? No. It happens every single day all over the world in hypnotic shows. So we know that with the simplest, most rudimentary hypnotic technique, an implant can be put in. You can be given a suggestion that will make you act without your control. So think about this. And if you don't think the CIA and the KGB and the secret police and the highest level organizations around the world that the government controls aren't using this on you, welcome to Fantasy Island. You are living in La La Land. Wake up, pay attention. This is how it really works. So every time you watch TV, and every time you see an advertisement, every time you see the news being given, every time you watch stuff on the internet and you look at all the clickbait and all the headlines And anytime you read the headlines on all the major mainstream news, you are being given suggestions that is going to affect the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act. It's going to affect your thinking and make you think certain ways and act uncontrollably without your knowledge. You are being hypnotized, put into a trance, misled, and deceived, but not knowingly. So I was talking to President Gorbachev, and he was saying, look, the KGB controls the media in the Soviet Union. He goes, in the same way that the CIA controls all of the American media. And I said, that's very interesting, because as you know, President Gorbachev, the CIA cannot operate in the United States. Its mandate is only to handle things internationally. And after the translator said that, he just started laughing, and I started laughing. Because any idiot out there that believes that, you are a moron. You are living in fantasy land. If you think the CIA only handles stuff overseas, what do you think they want to kill Snowden for? Because he revealed what really goes on. Same thing as why they want to kill Julian Assange for posting on WikiLeaks, not fake stuff. The reason they want to kill him is he posted the real stuff. Think about that. The reason they want to kill him and they want to kill Snowden is because he revealed the truth. And the truth is that the CIA is embedded all throughout the US mainstream media. That is the truth. They use the techniques to manipulate you in every way. You are being hypnotized. The image of yourself is being lowered. Now, one of the reasons why we have this set, I was going to the post office the other day, and I walked in, and I had my long cashmere overcoat on. I was dressed like I am today. I had my fedora hat on, and I have my nice shine shoes, and I walk up to the counter, and I'm getting some stamps, and a woman, must have been 80-something years old, she walks up to me, she goes, "Young man," and I'm looking around going, who's she talking to? Where's the young man? She goes, "Young man?" "Me?" She goes, "Yes." She goes, "It's been 60 years since I saw a gentleman dressed as eloquently and elegantly as you. It's so refreshing." I says, "Well, thank you very much." I said, "But I'm a time traveler. I actually don't come from around here or live in this time period." And she laughed, and the girl behind the counter laughed, and we all laughed. She goes, "Why is it that people don't dress nice anymore?" I says, "Well, that's another story. The number one reason people always say is because they want to feel comfortable. Well, if you dress like this and you're not comfortable, that means the clothes don't fit you. Because I am totally comfortable. I could dress like this and wear these shoes and hike 10 miles because my shoes fit me. And my clothes fit me. And I feel completely comfortable. I can do anything and everything all day long because my clothes fit. It's not some slim fit, tight something that I don't understand why you would wear it when it doesn't feel comfortable. Anyway, so I wear comfortable clothes. It fits right. They're comfortable. I can wear them all day long. And quite frankly, I like how I feel when I dress up. I don't dress like this every single minute of the day, don't get me wrong. But I have nice clothes. I want to wear the nice clothes. But it's a self-image thing, which means if the government or the powers that be can control the way you see yourself and make you feel less, not deserving, not good enough, unworthy, not smart enough, you can be controlled very easily. And that's what happens. We're going to talk more about that. I'm going to show you in future episodes. We're going to get clips, and I got to go through all the legal guys to make sure I don't get sued. But I'm going to show you clips of news headlines, and I'm going to show you how it is a hypnotic language pattern and how they're using words in the wrong order and using words that aren't correct by definition to be in the place that they're at, and how it's manipulating you. I'm going to reveal the magic trick. I'm going to show you illusion and how it's done. I'm going to educate you on how you are being manipulated, misled, hypnotized, put into a trance, and how they are embedding suggestions into you, controlling your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your words. So more on that. Now, we're also going to take some phone calls later today. Now, let's talk about a couple things that are in the news. Let's talk about some non-controversial things. Let's see, what's non-controversial? President Trump, he's not controversial. So let's talk about President Trump. Non-controversial, non-controversial subject. All right, so President Trump just got sued, a civil lawsuit in the state of New York. Before the trial, the judge found him guilty for filing inaccurate financial statements and getting loans. All right, we looked at the financial statements. Clearly, there was misrepresentation about the size of his condo in New York. Clear misrepresentation. I've talked to dozens of the top lawyers in America, and they all say that's called a non-material representation because it's such a minuscule amount to the overall financial. But it clearly was a misrepresentation, and there's no way it was a mistake. It was clearly misrepresented. There were disclaimers in this that said, hey, don't trust anything in here, do your own due diligence. Okay. The bank, who was allegedly the victim, said, we're not a victim. We didn't get defrauded, we did our own due diligence, and we made tons of money on the transaction. So we're completely happy. So there's no victim, nobody lost a nickel, everybody made money. That's fine. But the law says if you misrepresent, it's a problem. So he got with interest, a $455 million fine. Now, by the way, let me digress about our wonderful government. And this is just not the American government. This is pretty much the same all around the world. This is great. I love this. Let's say you're a business and somebody owes you a bill. You send somebody a bill. You're in the construction business. A guy hires you to build a wall and a driveway for him. And you build a driveway and you send him a bill for $10,000. And you say it's due in 30 days. 30 days pass and you don't get the check. You call him up and say, hey, you're late. He goes, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to pay. You say, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to charge you 9% interest a day, compounded, until you pay. And you keep sending him bills. In a few months, that $10,000 bill, now the guy owes you $20,000. At the end of the year, he owes you $60,000. And then the guy goes to the police and says, there's a loan shark here. He's charging me usury interest. You would go to prison for charging usury interest. That's what it's called. It's called loan sharking. The derogatory term of a loan shark, somebody who charges usury interest, is a Shylock. This is somebody who gives you money and then you could virtually never pay it back because the interest is growing so incredibly rapidly that your $10,000 initial debt becomes $100,000 in like a year. It's usury interest. But when the government does it, which is what the government does, the IRS does it, they charge you penalties and interest, and it's compounded. But when the government does it, it's completely legal. The government's not your friend, by the way, just so you know. Ronald Reagan said it best. President Ronald Reagan in the United States, and he was referring to not just government in the US, but governments around the world. He says, government is not going to solve your problems. He says, government is your problem. So Trump gets some $350 million fine, even though there wasn't a penny lost, although the documents were fraudulent to some extent. I mean, it was pretty clear, at least on that one item, the size of his condo. And then he charged him another $100 million in interest, usury interest, if it was done by anybody else except the government. But the government can do it, and it's no problem. Okay. So he owes $455 million, and he's appealing. But in order for you to appeal when you have this big debt, You have to either put the money up in an escrow account, $455 million in cash, or you have to go get a bond, and the bond you have to have liquid assets to use as collateral to get the bond. Okay. So his lawyers file a motion saying, hey, he can't put up $455 million in cash because nobody in the world, including the richest people in the world, whether it's Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or the Asian billionaire that just had the party, the richest guy in Asia, in India, that all the celebrities went to, including Bill Gates and everybody, and Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, the owner of Facebook, Alphabet Soup, whatever they call it now, Google, I don't know, all these names changes. But the lawyer for Trump said there's nobody on planet Earth that can write a check for $455 million, even the richest guys in the world. Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, worth $150 billion. He can't write a check for $455 million because nobody is that liquid. Which is true, because their wealth is tied up in stocks and real estate. They can't sell it. Now, the reason I bring this up is because the world has changed in the last 150 years. If you go back to 1900, 1910, 1920, 1930, not just in America, but around the world, there were wealthy people. In America, there was John D. Rockefeller, there was Andrew Carnegie, there was J.P. Morgan, there was Henry Ford. Andrew Carnegie, at the early 1900s, sold his steel company to a conglomerate headed up by the bank financer J.P. Morgan. He sold it in today's dollars for $450 billion. That's what he sold it for, $450 billion. But it was sold for cash. Andrew Carnegie had in his bank account $450 billion, not million, billion, in cash money. Wasn't in stock, wasn't in real estate, it was in cash. Today, Jeff Bezos, who's worth $160 billion, doesn't have $455 million in cash sitting around. Nobody has that much cash because their wealth is tied up in stocks, or real estate. Why do I bring this up? Is because, as I talked about last week, there is a reduction in liquid wealth across the board, massively with the masses and the average person. The average people today have less money in their bank account. They have less. They don't have enough money. If you lost your job, could you live for a year or two? No. Think about that. They got these credit cards now. It's like, oh, get paid 2 days early. Get the money in your bank 2 days early. Instead of on Friday, get it on Wednesday. And the guy in the commercial is going, man, this is the greatest thing in the world. I don't even know how I'm going to make it till Friday. And now I get my check on Wednesday. Thank God, because now I can eat. You don't have $10, $20 that you can't wait 2 days, that you're out of money. You have no money at all. You can't even buy a sandwich. You don't even have a credit card because they're all maxed out. You need to get your paycheck 2 days early, and that's like, oh, blessings from heaven. Think about how bad that is. But what I'm saying is, even the wealthy people are getting screwed these days. I mean, that's pretty bad. But what's happening is, governments around the world are reducing the sovereignty, the individual entrepreneurship of people. The ability to create the life they want is being massively suppressed by governments around the world. And I'm going to show you how they're doing it, but more important, how you can pull yourself out from the matrix so that you can live the blessed life that you want, regardless of what the government's doing, what the media is doing to try to manipulate you and lie to you and deceive you. Regardless of all that stuff, there are ways and techniques and methods and information that if you know it and you apply it, everything in your life is going to get better. Most importantly, the way you feel is going to be much better. How you handle life and the life that is presented to you is going to become much more glorious, much better. Now, there's something else in the news. Let's talk about some other non-controversial topics. By the way, with the Trump thing, this is going to be really interesting because he doesn't have $455 million in cash. How he's going to come up with the money, and he's calling a lot of his buddies around the world that have money and saying, listen, can you do a private loan with some cash to put up this bond? I think he'll win an appeal, by the way. I think the judge was out of control. What happened to him, I mean, he was found guilty before trial. The judge said, you're guilty. I don't even need to have a trial. Even though there's no victim, nobody lost money, it was such a, clearly it was an infraction, but here's the other thing. How many other people in New York, no, how many other people, how many other real estate people, how many other business people around the world present financial statements to banks that if they were looked at in the same way that Trump's were looked at, the same thing would be found, some misrepresentations of assets. I was on the phone yesterday with a guy who's worth several $billion. He said, what happened in New York is the scariest thing I've ever seen. He says, because it proves what Joseph Stalin's right-hand man, his prosecutor, his chief prosecutor, for those of you who are too young, Joe's over here going, who's Joseph Stalin? Joseph Stalin was the dictator of the Soviet Union during the Second World War who murdered millions and millions of people. He was not a nice guy. He was a brutal dictator. But at the same time, he beat the Nazis. If it wasn't for Stalin and the Soviet Union and his brutal regime, we would be eating sauerkraut right now. So, you know, he had to do some pretty horrible things to get that army to fight the Germans. You know, people in America, people around the world know this, but people in America think, what are you talking about, Kevin? The Americans, we beat Germany and we beat Japan. America lost 350,000 servicemen and women during the Second World War, 350,000. Russia lost 50 million people. Russia lost 50 million, both civilians and service people, in the war. We lost 350,000. The Russians fought the Germans. Yeah, we fought the Japanese mostly, but there was no comparison. Okay. So let's go back to what's happening with Trump. Joseph Stalin's chief prosecutor said this, show me the man and I will show you the crime. And what does that mean? What that means is just pull a name out of the hat. Pull any name out of the hat, give it to me, I will have that person indicted on something. I will find a crime that person has committed. I will find a crime and they will be convicted. That's what Joseph Stalin's head guy said. President Nixon said the same thing on the Nixon tapes. Prosecutors have said it, including, by the way, Ross Perot, who ran for president. He said, you can take any person in America, because of the amount of laws we have and regulations that are criminal, you can find any person in America, investigate them, and you can find that they are committing a crime punishable by prison time. That's Ross Perot said that. And most recently, in America, and this is also said by prosecutors and politicians and business people around the world, not just in America. Most recently, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch said there are tens of thousands of laws on the books that if you break them, you go to prison. But there are hundreds of thousands, actually probably over 1 million, regulations that are put in effect by the various ABC agencies under the president, like the Federal Trade Commission, the Food and Drug Administration, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal Communications Commission, et cetera, all these agencies. There's probably over 1 million regulations that most are crimes punishable by prison time. He says it's impossible for someone in America not to be breaking a law every single day. They don't even know it. There's no rule book. Hi, I'm coming to America. I just got my citizenship. Thanks very much. Can you give me the rule book? Because I don't want to break any rules. You know, I'm not from this country. So can you give me the rule book so I know what the rules are so I don't break the rules and go to prison? Sorry, sir. There is no rule book. And not knowing the rules is not a defense. If you break one of the rules, we're still putting you in prison. This is why the Federal Trade Commission said to me, hey, we're not here to help you. We're here to prosecute you. Welcome to America. You're under arrest. Great country. I recommend everybody come to America. Come on in. Come in illegally. That's the best way. I recommend that everybody just invade the country. Come into the country. Oh, we can't say invade. Somebody got mad at me. Don't call, they're migrants. Somebody said they're undocumented immigrants. Wait a minute, let's call it what they are. If you come into the country illegally, you are an illegal immigrant. You immigrated into the country illegally. You might be a very sad case and you could call yourself a migrant, but you're still in the country illegally. You broke the law and now you want a free place to stay. And you may have a really sad story, and my heart goes out to you because you're a human being and you have children and you have nothing and you're starving and you're sick. It's a horrible situation. But at the end of the day, we can't solve it with denying what the reality is. And the reality is 50 million people have invaded the United States, and this is happening in Europe and Italy and all over the world. They're invading countries by breaking into those countries and going into those countries illegally. They're breaking the law. It's the first thing you do when you come to the country is break the law. You might have a sad case, and it's sad. It's sad. I mean, my heart goes out to these poor people because it's a problem that should be addressed, but the problem is, why is it that life sucks so much in other countries that people want to come into Germany or the UK or France or Italy or the United States or Canada? Things are so bad in some countries that people are so desperate. They're looking for a better life. How do we solve that problem? Well, that's another show. So the point is, the government, what they did to Trump in this case with $455 million, which he's going to win on appeal, I really think so. And I think the conviction may or may not be thrown out because there was no victim. And the victim said, no, we're not pressing charges. There's no crime here. We made tons of money. Nobody lost a penny. But I think the penalty is going to be dramatically reduced if the conviction holds. But I think there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct in that case. Again, what it shows is the government can pick any single person and find the crime. Show me the person and I'll show you the crime. So I talked to this billionaire the other day. I talked to other guys around the country, and they said the same thing. They said, what happened in New York to Trump? If that prosecutor looked at my financials or any real estate developer in New York, they would say the same thing. They would say, you're misrepresenting the asset. Every single person. He said, every single person basically comes up with an asset value of real estate based on what they think it's worth, what they think they can sell it for. And then the government says, no, that's not what it's worth. Oh, really? But I have a buyer. Doesn't make a difference what the guy wants to pay. It's what we think it's worth. I mean, we can go there. But that's going to be interesting. The point is, it's going to be very interesting to play out. First off, it's going to be very interesting in the next few weeks how he's going to come up with the cash to post the bond. You know, maybe he has, because it's not so easy. You can't get a loan that fast. You just can't walk in and say, "Hi, I got some real estate here and I want to use it as collateral. Give me a $455 million loan." They're going to say, "Time out here. We need to do some due diligence. It takes 90 days. Well, he's got like 2 weeks left. Otherwise, the state's going to go in there and start freezing assets and it's going to be interesting to see. We'll keep up on that. But here's another thing that is in the news regarding Trump, and I want to stay on this non-controversial topic of Donald Trump. and we will go to the phone lines in a minute. I don't know if anyone's seen this, but Donald Trump has put this idea out that none of these criminal prosecutions can go on. You know, he's being prosecuted 4 criminal trials, I think, 3 or 4. They have all these different crimes. While he was president of the United States, he allegedly committed. So the government, the federal government and the state of New York, I think, and the state of Georgia and the federal government, I think there's 3 criminal cases, 3 or 4. The states and the federal government are saying this. They're saying, Donald Trump, while he was the president of the United States, committed a crime. And we are prosecuting him because he committed a crime while he was president. And presidents are not immune. If you're the president and you commit a crime, we can still prosecute you. Okay, so Donald Trump is saying, and his lawyers, no, actually, while I was the president, I am immune. I have immunity. I cannot commit a crime. Even if what I did is a crime, you can't charge me with a crime. While I am president, I have complete immunity. Anything and everything I do as president, it doesn't matter. You can't charge me with a crime. I am immune. And somebody says, oh, so if you walk down the street of Washington, D.C. and just take a gun and shoot somebody right in front of everybody, and it's on national TV, you commit cold-blooded murder, you're saying you're immune. And he says, that's exactly right. If I commit murder right in the street of Washington, D.C., in front of everybody, live broadcast, I am immune. You cannot charge me with murder ever. I have immunity because I'm the president. What do you think about that? Some of you are thinking, well, that's insane. That's ludicrous. Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. That's what the government's saying. The government's saying, don't be ridiculous. Just because you're the president, that doesn't make you immune from a crime. You can't go and kill somebody. You can't order somebody to be killed. That's a crime. Oh, wait a minute. President Carter, Democrat, there was no war declared against anybody, ever. There's no war declared. But while President Carter was president, Iran took some Americans hostages. There was no war declared on Iran, but President Carter called the CIA in and said, send some of your assassins over to Iran and I want you to murder this guy. And they did. So President Carter, there was no war declared, ordered the murder of an Iranian national. Is that a crime? Wait a minute. Let's say my name is Joseph Bonanno, godfather of the Bonanno crime family. And I say, hey, Tony, I want you to go to Sicily and I want you to take care of Louis Fenza. I want you to put a bum right in his head, whack the guy, push the button on him. You know what I'm saying? Take care of him. I don't want to see him no more. Go ahead. Yeah, but Tony over here is wearing a wire. I just ordered the hit. I just ordered the murder of a guy in Sicily. All of a sudden the cops come in and arrest me. Conspiracy to commit murder. No murder was ever committed, by the way. It's conspiracy to commit murder. And I go away to prison for 50 years. Because it's illegal to order the murder of somebody else. So is it illegal for the President of the United States to order the murder of some other human being? Is that a crime or not a crime? Wait a minute. It is a crime. It's a crime everywhere in the world, by the way. If you order somebody who's on your payroll to go and kill somebody else, you go to prison for life. Unless you're the President of the United States or President of any country or Prime Minister of any country. Putin has people killed. We know that. Don't be a surprise. Wake up. You're not a baby. This isn't fantasy land. This is real life. This is not Fantasy Island. The President of the United States, the Prime Minister Trudeau, who's got the same last name as me for a reason, they have people killed. The President of the United States orders the murder, the assassination, and then they brag about it on TV. We got him. Soleimani, we got that son of a gun. We sent the guys in there, boom. Osama bin Laden, we told him, just shoot him in the head. Boom. We got him. Yeah. Obama. Yeah. I ordered the murder of Osama bin Laden. Give me a medal. Wait a minute. He's the President of the United States. He doesn't have immunity. How come nobody is filing a murder charge against President Obama or President Carter or President Bush? President Bush goes in there and starts a war, for God's sakes. He calls up my friend General Norman Schwarzkopf and says, listen, go in there and invade the country. Oh, we're going to war? Oh, no, we're not going to war. No, Congress never declared war in Iraq. We're just taking 300,000 men and invading Iraq with tanks and blowing up everybody and killing as many people as we can, but it ain't a war. How come that's okay? Why is it okay for the President of the United States to kill people all around the world, including in the United States, by the way? Well, we'll talk about that. But here's the point. I guess Donald Trump's argument that while he was president, none of his actions can be listed as a crime, maybe it's not so crazy. Maybe presidents do have immunity. If they're allowed to kill people and order the murder of people, and by the way, this is not conspiracy theory. Obama ordered the murder of Osama bin Laden. Trump ordered the murder of Soleimani. Biden has ordered the murder of other people around the world. Every president does, and they brag about it. And some just invade countries with armies without declaring war and kill all these civilians. But it's perfectly okay. Nobody gets charged with anything because they're the president. So maybe the argument is now you may understand why Trump said, if you say that I don't have immunity as president, a president won't do anything that he needs to do. Think about that. Now you're president. Wait a minute, I'm president. I got a general staff meeting here. We got Osama bin Laden. What do you want us to do? Well, shit, we can't kill him because then they'll come after me. As a matter of fact, we can't even invade the country because then some prosecutor who doesn't like my political party is going to charge me with a crime of invading and sending people in illegally without declaring war. We're not going to do anything. Nothing would happen. And quite frankly, maybe that's better. I don't know. Think about that. I don't know, maybe it's better. All right, what else we going to talk about? All right, let's, what time we have here? We're going to go to the phone lines in a minute, but I do want to talk. I promised everybody that we're going to talk about, oh, before I talk about testosterone, I got to give you my movie review. I don't have movie critic yet. I'm still world's best member. Wait a minute. I've been doing former insider, not world's best mentor. That whole first segment was former insider. So that was former insider talking. Kevin Trudeau, former insider. That's what that was. All right. So what are we gonna do now? Now I'm guru. You can't see that now, but I'll hold it up so you can see. I am now Kevin Trudeau guru. So as guru, I'm going to give you a couple recommendations for books and movies. My movie review. Actually, you know what we need here? We need movie critic and book critic. We need one that says movie critic and book critic, because it's really not guru. I'll go back to world's best mentor. I'll go back to world's best mentor, because it does go with my coffee cup. Okay, so now I am doing the movie review and book review. So can we have a drum roll, please? Thank you. Recommended book this week. By the way, I have a recommended book list. It's available at KevinTrudeauFanClub.com. Go to the website, Kevin Trudeau. We can put that up on the screen. KevinTrudeauFanClub.com. I have an entire book list there. It's free. There's no charge. KevinTrudeauFanClub.com. So this is the book of the week that I'm going to recommend. It's a book that was recommended by Oprah Winfrey. If you listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger's documentary, he talks about the techniques in this book, and he uses these techniques, and it was what he used to create his life. It's a great book because it's simple to read. If you look at the book, it's relatively easy and short. So it's a simple, easy read, giving you the basics, the fundamental underlying basics of the law of attraction. And it's something that I think is recommended. I recommend everybody reads it. All my staff have to read, by the way. Last week, I recommended, the first week, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's on the recommended book list. It's also a required reading from all my staff members. The Secret is required reading for all staff members. All the books that I recommend here are required reading, and then I have the recommended book list. But I want to just give you something here to chew on and think about. And maybe you'll feel a little better in a minute. It says, expectation is a powerful, attractive force. Expect the things you want and don't expect the things you don't want. Now, there's a whole technique and technology about how to put out the correct vibration so that you're expecting what you want instead of feeling like you don't have it. It's called putting out the feeling of lack or the wanting. If you're putting out that feeling, you're not going to get it. You have to be in a state of expectancy. You have to feel now as if you are already in possession of that which you desire. Gratitude is a powerful process for shifting your energy and bringing more of what you want into your life. Being grateful for what you already have, and you will attract more good things. And it goes on and on and on. But this is a spectacular book, highly encouraged and recommended, called The Secret. There's also a videotape. There's a video called The Secret. I recommend, if you want more out of life, if you want to attract things in your life, if you want to learn the secrets that the wealthiest people in the world use to make the life and create the life they want, read The Secret and watch the video, The Secret. It gives you the basics. And then also I would encourage you to read all of the books on my recommended reading list at KevinTrudeauFanClub.com. Okay, now I got two movies for you, two movie recommendations. The first one and the second one you have not seen. The first one is an older movie. Older movie. The movie is called Pillow Talk, and it stars Rock Hudson as well as Doris Day, and co-stars Tony Randall, who played Felix Unger in The Odd Couple with my late friend Jack Klugman. Some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. And you're like, what's The Odd Couple? Who's Jack Klugman? Who's Tony Randall? Yes, these were stars. And they were excellent actors, excellent human beings, fantastic. Pillow Talk is another great movie you can either watch by yourself or it's a great date movie. If you got your lover, your spouse, your girlfriend, it is a great movie. They may hate you because they may not think it's funny, but it is funny. Every single person I've sat down with who watched the movie said they really enjoyed the movie. There's no nudity, there's no swearing, there's no sex, there's no violence, there's nothing lewd, but it is funny. It is enjoyable, it's funny, it's entertaining, it's lighthearted. It's just a great movie with great dialogue, a good, funny, lighthearted storyline, and it's something that you will really enjoy. So let me know when you watch these movies, post something on the YouTube comment section about, I watched the movie and I liked it. Give us your comments. I'm really curious about that. So Pillow Talk is an older movie. Highly recommend. And when I recommended the movie last week, which was An Affair to Remember, one of the things about these movies too is you see a different era and you learn a little bit more about how conversations went, how people treated one another, how they dressed, how they postured themselves, how they walked, you see a level of sophistication and class that most people just don't have today. And this will make your life better because if you raise your standards just a little bit, and I'm not saying you have to dress like me, okay? I'm not saying that. Don't be silly. But if you just dress a little bit better, if you act a little bit better, if you comb your hair, if you shave, guys, if you look a little better, smell a little better, if you talk a little bit better, if you're a little more articulate, if you listen more than you speak, if you are showing the intelligence you have, the class, believe me, the world is going to notice. You're going to make more money, you're going to make more friends, you're going to have more influence over people, and you're going to feel better about yourself. Not in an egotistical way, but you're just going to start excelling in life. Just raise your level of excellence. So Pillow Talk is another movie that is fun, lighthearted, but you also see it in a little different era. I think it was filmed back in the 60s. So it's a little different era, and it's something to consider. All right, the next one is a spectacular series. It's a TV series or a movie series. I believe it's available on Paramount Plus. I'm not sure. You can find it someplace. I watched it on Paramount Plus. And it's a series, I think it's 9 one-hour episodes. It's called The Offer. The Offer, O-F-F-E-R, The Offer. And it is the true story of the making of the movie The Godfather. Now, if you haven't watched the movie The Godfather, that certainly will be on my recommended list. But the movie The Godfather came out when a guy named Mario Puzo, who was a underpaid, struggling writer, wrote a book called The Godfather. And it was kind of a collaboration of many of the crime families. And he created a book, but not just about a crime family, but about the family of the crime families. So it talked about the fact that they have brothers and sisters and children, and they have aunts and uncles, and how the family is involved in crime, and how immigrants from Sicily came to America, were discriminated against, stuck together, and built these bonds to make a better life for their family. It's an interesting dynamic, unlike just a regular mob or mafia type book. The crime families in New York did not like the book because they thought it made them look bad. But the biggest thing is they didn't want publicity. The crime families always said there is no such thing as the mafia. There's no such thing as the syndicate. In Chicago, it's called, with Al Capone, the outfit, right? Not the mafia, it's called the outfit here in Chicago. So they wanted this secret. They didn't want to be in the press. The whole thing was about there's no such thing as the mafia. And the first guy that actually came out was Joe Valachi. And there's a book called The Valachi Papers. And Joe Valachi was a soldier, a button man. He killed people in the Lucchese crime family. And he said, yeah, it was called La Cosa Nostra, which is the thing ours, or the thing that is ours. That's the literal translation, La Cosa Nostra, the thing ours, or the thing that is ours. Or the American way you translate it in English would be our thing. So it wasn't called the mafia or the mob. It was called our thing, La Cosa Nostra. In Hollywood, there was a guy who decided he's going to make a movie. And he's never made a movie before. He made a couple like Hogan's Heroes, the TV series. So they put him in charge of making a movie called The Godfather, based on the book The Godfather by Mario Puzo. This movie shouldn't have been made because you had Hollywood executives not wanting the movie to succeed or be made. You had troubles with the director. You had troubles with the actors. You had troubles with the executives not wanting Michael Corleone to be played by, who played Michael Corleone in the movie?
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino, thank you. They didn't want Al Pacino to play Michael Corleone. They almost fired him. Luca Brasi, who's the big enforcer in the movie, they hire some big gorilla to play the part. He drops dead of a heart attack 3 days before they shoot a scene. So they have to find a replacement. And they go, well, Joe Colombo, the head of the Colombo crime family, he has a big gorilla enforcer who's a murderer. We'll use him. So they use this real mob enforcer as Luca Brasi. Anyway, the movie's amazing. Frank Sinatra is getting people to quit because he's putting pressure on it because they make him look bad. In the Johnny Fontaine character, it is riveting, and it's a great movie because not only is it a true story, but it shows you, if you pay attention, the secrets of success. Successful people are not people without problems. They're people who've learned how to overcome their problems. They're overcomers. So you see a winner make a movie when everything is going against him. And there's one catastrophe after the other, after the other. He's all ready to go and shoot, and all of a sudden, the politicians in New York pull the license and go, nope, you can't shoot here in New York City. So now they got no license to shoot. What is he gonna do? He has to call up Joe Colombo with the Colombo crime family and go, can you help me? Yeah, we'll help you out. All of a sudden, magically, they get it turned around. He goes to Sicily, and the mob there tries to put pressure on him, and he has to move. It was like one disaster, catastrophe, obstacle after the other. How do they overcome these obstacles? It is a riveting, entertaining. Every single person who's watched it told me, thank you for recommending it, Kevin. It's spectacular and fantastic. So highly recommend and endorse that. All right, we're gonna go one more. I'm gonna go to the phone lines in a second. I got one more thing to do. Then I'm gonna talk about testosterone if I get some time. Okay. First off, a couple of things that are coming up. I am gonna be in Florida doing a 3-day event for the Global Information Network in April. It's a 3-day event. The tickets cost $2,500. If you want to go, if you're an associate member in our club, it's available for members only. However, if you join the club, and joining Global Information Network is only $38 and $18.95 a month dues, you can quit anytime. But if you join the club, you get a free ticket to Orlando, Florida, and you can spend time with me and people from all around the world for 3 days. You get a $2,500 ticket free. You have to buy a ticket to the banquet. It's a formal banquet dinner on Saturday night. But I would say if you can get to Florida, you want to be there. On Saturday night, I have a speaker coming in. It was a guy I was in prison with. I taught him copywriting, and I taught him the 10 steps to manifesting your dreams. He comes out of prison, and within a couple of years makes millions and millions of dollars. He just called me because he was having dinner with Jack Nicklaus at his house. He sent me a video just yesterday with him and Sir Nick Faldo. He's been knighted by the Queen. He's with Sir Nick Faldo on the golf course. He says, Kip, my life is magical because your techniques work, and the copywriting techniques that you taught me work and allow me to make millions of dollars. He's going to be telling how he did it. That's something you don't want to miss. If you can't get there live, and again, the ticket's free. All you have to do is join the club for $38. If you can't get there live, we will give you a ticket so you can watch it virtually from the comfort of your own home, no matter where you are in the world. But if you want success, you don't want to miss this. This is called Dream Weekend, and we focus on the power of a dream and how to dream big and how to make your dreams come true. I'm also going to do something special on Friday night. Some people heard the story about the first event I went to in 1979 and the speaker that I heard there. I found the recording of that speaker. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit of that. So you're going to hear what I heard that changed my life in every single way from that guy. So it's going to be a powerful weekend. So go to global, maybe you can put it on the screen up there, globalinformationnetwork.com. You can go to globalinformationnetwork.com to sign up and become a member. So check that out. You can put that in the chat too, maybe. And also, if you want to check out the Your Wish is Your Command, you can go to yourwishisyourcommand.com as well. And by the way, we're giving away free cruises. When you become a member of the Global Information Network, we'll tell you how you can get a free $7,500 ticket on a 1-week, all-expense-paid cruise with me. We took over the entire Norwegian Cruise Line ship, the Pearl, coming up a year from January. We get the whole ship for the whole week. Every single person on there is going to be a Global Information Network member. I will give you a free, 100% free ticket. All you have to do is fly to Miami. You just walk on the ship. Everything on the ship is free, with the exception of a massage or, if you're going on an excursion. But all the food, all the seminars, everything is free. You don't have to spend a nickel if you don't want to. All expense paid, luxury, spectacular cruise. 1 week, you don't want to miss that. So when you become a member of GIN, we tell you how to get a free ticket for that. All right, so let's go to the phone lines. Let's pop up our phone number up there on the screen. We're going to take some calls here, and then I'm going to talk about some testosterone. Talk about that. So let's go, Greg. Greg's been waiting there for he called in before the show even started. So let's go to Greg from Ontario, Canada. Give us a call, Greg. I got the phone right here. Hello, Greg. Kevin Trudeau here. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing great. What's your question or your comment?
Well,
can you turn your radio down there in the back?
I tell you, I have deepest respect. I have the deepest respect for you. I have the deepest respect for you for the fact that you never swear. I think that's absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you very much.
And I just wanted to tell you, like my aunt, Andrea McClellan, has been fantastic. My thing is, I'm wondering what the future is with robots replacing workers. And since they're going to happen anyway, I would like to know what you recommend for me to be able to sell robots to restaurants and other companies.
Okay, good. So we're going to talk about AI robots in a minute. So I'm going to hang up the phone now, and I'll answer your question for everybody as well.
And can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, Greg.
I highly recommend that people, instead of buying Think and Grow Rich, that they buy the Napoleon Hill Law of Success in 15 Lessons. It's wonderful.
Oh,
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, that's also on my recommended book list as well. Thanks very much, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Great question. The question really is about AI. Okay. Let me read something to you, everybody. Well, I'll say it by memory. Lord, grant me the courage to change the things I can change the patience to accept the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. The serenity prayer, right? When we think about that, it makes total sense. AI is coming. It's going to change the world in the same manner that, and people don't understand how the telephone changed the world, how automobiles changed the world, how electricity changed the world, because we just live in it. We didn't see the change. And most people today, because they're so young, don't realize how the internet has changed the world, or how television and cable have changed the world. There's all these things that have happened that have radically changed our lives in major ways. I mean, before the automobile and roads, people never left 5 miles around their house. 99% of people never traveled more than 5 miles around their house. Then when the car came, everything changed. Then when the airplane came, everything changed even more. Nobody knew news. We didn't have news. We had the telegraph, and that was the fastest mode of transportation. Because now, communication, you could now send a telegraph. This was like magical. So there's all these technologies that are coming that change life. And guess what? We still live. We just go on. It's different. And someone says, oh, the good old days, the good old days, the good old days. Yeah, the good old days. The good old days when you had no electricity and you breathed in all the kerosene fumes in your house. The good old days. The good old days when you didn't have heat in your house. The good old days. The good old days when there was no store, that you had to wake up before dawn and milk the cows to get milk. The good old days. You know, we live in a pretty good days today. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that I'm blissful and thankful and appreciative for. It's like, this is pretty good. Doesn't mean you can't make it better. But you know, when you start looking around at how good things are, so AI is going to change everything. AI is going to basically take people and make the majority of people in the world slaves, because they will no longer be able to reason or think. They will allow AI to do it for them. I was just talking to some lawyers, and they says, Kevin, the AI is going to change everything in the lawyer business and the courts. Judges now won't be doing anything. All they'll do is they just push a button, and the AI will read every case ever and then tell the judge what the decision should be, and here's the reasons why. There's no manual looking it up. They just follow along. This happens in sports. You know, once upon a time, the tennis player would hit the ball and you'd have somebody look and say out or in. And they still do that to some extent, but then somebody says challenge. And technology says, the linesman was wrong. He called it out, but it was in. Interesting. So little by little, what people do is going to be down, 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 but mostly their thinking is going to be gone. So the ability to reason is going to be going down dramatically. Robots and AI are going to be taking over the majority of jobs, and this is going to make people unbelievably depressed, because unless you are producing and creating in your life, you will go into a state of depression. We have an energy, some people call it sexual energy. Sexual energy comes from the second chakra in the body, and it's not sexual energy per se. It's creative energy. And creative energy gets expressed in sex, because sex is a procreation activity. Oh, it's pleasurable, yeah. But first and foremost, throughout the world, sex is, or intercourse and sex is there to procreate the species. It is a creative drive. The fact that it's pleasurable is one of the reasons why the drive is so strong, because creation is effectively pleasurable. There's also physical pleasure as well. But what other creation or creative energies are there? That energy of creating energy, where else does it get transmuted or expressed? Cooking, for some people. They love to cook. It's a creation. Or building a garden. I have guys who like woodwork. I have a friend of mine who likes to play with models and make little models things. So he's creating something with his hands, painting, musicians. There's a whole host of ways to create. I know a makeup artist. I did my makeup earlier today. She's creating. Every time she sits down with somebody, it's not a boring task for her because she's expressing her creative energy in that in makeup as an outlet or doing hair. So AI is going to take away from us much of the creative outlet that we have because the number two creative outlet other than sex is work. It's what we do to add value into society. It's work, it's business, it's working to create something, make money, but it's adding value into society. That's the second strongest use or expression of creative energy. That's going to be coming away initially until people can figure out how to express that while using AI. So the majority of people are going to go into a trance. There'll be more antidepressant drugs than ever before, more suicides than ever before. They're going up now anyway. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. But don't worry about that because the good news is there's less competition for you and me because we can express our creative energy in things that we enjoy, make money, have great relationships, have great vigorous dynamic health, do things, enjoy, better ourselves. Many of you are on a spiritual enlightenment path as well. That's creative energy utilized. So the future is bright. Now, remember when cell phones just came out? Some of you don't know when it just came out because you were in the cradle. I remember when cell phones just came out. I remember a buddy of mine, I was in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I had this guy who was the director of sales and marketing for this company, and I was doing some consulting work down there. And he said, he was a young guy, in his 20s, and he says, you know, I got this opportunity to go to Minneapolis, and I can get the whole state as an exclusive for this mobile or cell phone thing that's coming out. What do you think about that? And I says, well, I don't have a cell phone or a mobile phone, whatever they want to call them. But I think there's a future in it. And if you can get in on the ground floor, what's the downside? If it comes and goes, hey, no big deal. You can move on to something else. But if it hits the home run, you'll be sitting pretty. The guy's a zillionaire now. He got it right at the beginning. Robots, it's the same thing. There are a lot of companies out there, a lot of young people out there today. If you want to get in something at the ground floor, look around for AI, my friends, because it ain't going anywhere. It's taken over. So if you can get into the ground floor, I would consider that. Let's go to the phone line. Who do we got here? Let's go to Christian from Arizona. Hello, Christian. Kevin Trudeau here.
Hey, Kevin. Nice talking to you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, I got two questions for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, first question is, I was wondering if you're accepting sponsors for your show. I know you haven't been on the air much, but I'm interested in getting on.
Yes. When I hang up, stay on the line, and William or Brian will get all your contact details. We want sponsors. So if anybody wants to sponsor our show, obviously I'm trying to, all the money, none of it goes to me. It goes to pay off the Federal Trade Commission debt that I have, get that behind me, as well as pay my lawyers, because I owe them $1.5 million. But after that's paid off, then any money that comes in from the show, I'm just giving it to both the fan club partners as well as the Global Information Network members. So I'm not taking any money from the show. I'm doing this as a philanthropic work, and all the money will be donated to either the fan club to be given as partner benefits or to the Global Information Network to be given as member benefits as well. So yes, if you want to talk about sponsorship, William will be happy to talk to you afterwards.
Awesome. Okay, second question. I've heard a lecture from L. Ron Hubbard talking about the third eye, saying it's an engram, and I've studied a bunch of other stuff from Rudolf Steiner. I'm a 32nd degree Freemason, and I just searched around. I just wanted to see what's your opinion on the third eye being an engram.
Okay, sure. Let me, I'm going to talk about this. I'll hang up the phone right now, stay on the line, and they'll get your contact details, and then I'll answer your question, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so the third eye. What is the third eye? It depends on who you talk to. When a person uses the word third eye, sometimes they're referring to different things. So let me give you I don't want to say the correct definition, but my definition of third eye. And really, the definition that is universally accepted when referring to the third eye. So why is it the third eye? Because we have two physical eyes. So that's one eye, two eyes. What is the third eye? The third eye is said to be located here, but a couple inches in the head, not directly in the center of the head, but it's actually about 2 inches, 3 inches. So it's not quite all the way in the center, but it's here. So it's not in the front. It's located here, but if you go straight in, this is the place where the self or the spiritual being that you are sees. You're not seeing through your eyes, through your physical eyes. The physical eyes only see reflections of light. True? An eagle sees reflections of light. A dog sees reflections of light. A bat sees reflections of light. All animals that have eyes, their physical eyes see the reflection of light. Our physical eyes pick up very small amounts of matter. We don't see very much. This is why an eagle has better eyesight than us. They can see things in greater detail, in greater depth, on more dimensions than the human, because we see on a very small band of frequency, whereas an eagle has a much bigger band, and a bat as well. They can see at night, for example. So our physical eyes, all we're seeing is reflections of light. Thus, all we're seeing is physical matter that can reflect light. Can we see a radio wave with our eyes? No, but it's there. If you take a cell phone, there's a wave of frequency that the cell phone is picking up, but you don't see it. You can't see it, but it's right here. And it's something that actually passes through the walls, but you don't see it. You don't even think it's magic. You think it's completely normal. That's something you can't see, you can't feel, you can't measure, can pass through stone, can pass through brick, steel, glass. How does it do that? And it can, and your cell phone can pick it up, and then you can hear a voice. When you think about that, that's pretty unbelievable. So the third eye does not pick up reflections of light. The third eye goes above and beyond the physical world of matter, energy, space, and time, and sees energy because it's connecting to the non-physical. So this, you see energy with the third eye on multiple dimensions. Now, anyone who suggests, oh, the third eye doesn't exist, or MK Ultra doesn't exist, that means you've never been to at one of the MK Ultra training sessions. That's why you think it doesn't exist. You don't have a personal experience. If you aren't connected with the third eye, or can use and see through the third eye, if you haven't left your physical body and entered into a different dimension, then you have no personal knowledge that this thing exists. If you haven't crossed the veil and gone into the static and merged with the oneness that's all things, then you have no personal experience about that. It's ineffable. It can't be described. And The third eye is beyond the mind. So the mind can never understand anything that's beyond itself. So I hope that answered your question. But I train people on this, how to use and see through the third eye, through the Science of Personal Mastery course. All members in the Global Information Network get access to the Science of Personal Mastery course. It's the training I got in the Brotherhood. It teaches you basically how to release these unbelievable abilities. It's what's used in the CIA, it's what's used in the KGB at very high levels to train people on how to use spiritual or energetic abilities. It works. The Success Mastery course, and a lot of this, by the way, is also free. If you want it for free, just go to gurukev.com. So you can punch in Guru Kev on the screen there, gurukev.com. It's free. The Guru Kev lessons are no charge. And I teach some of this information on how to use that right there. Let's go to Esther from Brooklyn. Esther, you're live on the air. This is Kevin Trudeau.
Yes. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing good. Happy to be on the show today. So I have two questions for you. One question is, what is your opinion on investing or putting your money in a 401k? And if you do recommend it, like, where do you think we should put it in? Should we put it in like the, overall S&P 500 fund, or like your recommendation on that? And the second question is, what is your current health regimen, and what do you do to stay healthy and looking vibrant and young?
Okay, good. I'm going to answer both of your questions, Esther. I'm going to hang up the phone. I'll answer both of them right now.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye. Okay, so I got two questions here. Number one, I'm not a financial advisor, so check with a financial advisor. But it's about 401ks. Great idea. Everyone should have a 401k. Where do you invest? I am not a certified financial planner, so I can't give you advice. However, I have a friend of mine, and I will tell you what he told me. He used to be the Minister of Finance for a country, which means he's like the top guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's also a genius. And I asked him, I said, if the average person wanted to invest money, what would you recommend? He goes, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. He says, but nobody will tell people to do this because stockbrokers, money managers, they all make money when a person trades, which means if you're going to invest in the stock and bond market or in options or in commodities or anything like that, and you go and you want to invest money and you go to somebody who's a certified financial planner, who's a money manager, who's going to help, they make money when you buy a stock, they get a commission. And when you sell a stock, they get a commission. So they want you to constantly be buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. And there certainly are advantages of buying and then selling and then buying again here and then selling and then let it go down, then buy it again. There's certainly advantages. But my friend said, look, 90% of the guys who do that, it's called trading, not investing, lose money. He goes, you might even be better going to Vegas. He said, it's really hard. And he goes, that's the fact. Nobody wants to talk about it. But the guys who make the money are not buying and selling, but they're handling the buying and sell transactions because they get a commission on every trade, whether you make money or not. So there's a conflict of interest when you go to a money manager because they just want you to buy and sell instead of make money. They don't make money when you make money. They make money when you're buying and you're selling, when you're buying and when you're trading. So my friend said, Kevin, I've done this research 1,000,000 times. The simplest, easiest way to make money investing on the long term is open up a 401k and simply buy an S&P 500 SPDR, which is a fund of the S&P 500. And you simply buy it. Once you get a paycheck, you take whatever percentage that you're going to invest. Every paycheck, you just buy it. And this 5 or 10 years from now, you will have made more money easier than doing anything else. That's all he suggested. Because now there's one advanced technique, is at the end of the year, if you lost money that year, then you can sell the stock, take the loss, and then the next week after the first of the year, you buy a different S&P 500 spider because there's 50 of them. Because you can't buy the same one. You can't sell it, take the loss, then buy it again. Because that's the only advanced technique, because that way you get a little extra hit there for the tax. Because some years you're going to lose money, and some years you're going to make. But at the end of the time, the market's like this. Because it's the simplest, easiest way to do it. And in the Global Information Network, I'm actually bringing him in, and we're going to do a seminar on really great, simple, ridiculously easy investment strategies. So for members, that's coming. Now let's talk about the, oh, and by the way, he also suggested that people put some percentage into Bitcoin. And if they want to do any trading, to do alternative coins, and through the recommended guide that I have is my recommendation. But for those of you who followed my advice on that one, you can put that in the Kevin Was Right file. And some of you have already emailed me, because when I recommended Bitcoin and I said, look, there's something happening and there's a halving event coming up soon. It's going to be very, very volatile, but 2 years from now, it's going to be way higher than it is today. That's what a lot of people think. Nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball. It could be worthless. Let's be honest. But if people did what I said, or what I recommended, they would have made 5 or 6 times on their money. And somebody didn't understand what I meant here. I recommended that you sign up with the investment guy that I recommend. And if you were with him, he recommended alternative coins and said, buy this one, sell this one, buy this one, sell this one, in addition to putting some money into Bitcoin. If you just put money into Bitcoin, you made anywhere from 3 to 5 times on your money, depending on when you got in. Because if you got in right when I said so, you probably would have made 5 or more times on your money. But if you did what he said over that last 18 months, when I suggested you become a member, if you did what he said, there are people that made 20, 30, 50 times on their money, 100 times on their money, because they did what he said. And there was some trading involved there. So, that's the investment part. Now, what's the health regime? Well, I'll give you the simple things here. And I actually wrote a couple things down here. I'm glad you brought this question up. If you want to be healthy, there's things you avoid and there's things that you do. So let me tell you what to avoid, because there's some simple things you could consider avoiding. And actually, I'm just looking at the clock here. I'm just not going to have time to do this. So let me just tell you the things that you should do. I'll give you a couple of things you should do before we have to sign off. Number 1, eat an organic apple. Try to eat one every day. Kevin, health. I need one that says Kevin Health Genius. Or natural health expert. That's the natural health expert. Who am I now? All right, I'm world's best mentor right now, but I should be natural health expert. So eat an organic apple a day. Remember the old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? It's kind of true. So that's a good protocol to do that. Next, consider getting a rebounder. That's a mini trampoline. Al Carter sells the best one. Al Carter, there's a bunch of cheap, crappy ones there. Please don't buy a cheap, crappy one. Buy an Al Carter one. It's the best. The springs are the best. The mat is the best. It's not going to rip or break. You're not going to hurt yourself. It's going to last forever. I got their top of the line one. I think it's great. Because when you jump up and down on a trampoline or mini trampoline, it's called a cellular exercise. You are stimulating every cell in the body and you're moving the lymphatic system, you're oxygenating the body, and it's the simplest, fastest way to get the benefits of exercise. You only need 5 minutes a day, you can jump up and down. You can put it in front of the TV. You can run on it, you can jump on it, you can do jumping jacks on it, you can do all types of different type twisting on it with bounces. You can sit on it and bounce and get your abs. But it is a full body exercise. It stimulates every cell in the body. Highly recommend and endorse a rebounder. The next is water. You want to drink pure water. I drink Icelandic water and wata. Both of them, however, come in plastic. So you're still dealing with the problem of plastics. No matter what quality of plastic it is, the plastic gets into the water. A good reverse osmosis unit is another possible choice. The problem there is it's dead water. It's got to be revitalized, and you have to do something like pour it over some, through like a funnel so it moves. We'll talk more about this. I'm looking at the time here. I'm just not going to have time to get into it, but I will. And I'm so sorry I did not get this testosterone. It's right here. I got all my stuff on testosterone. I will. It's going to be first, I guarantee. Next week, it's going to be first testosterone. Thanks very much for watching. We're showing you. Now, how do you feel? Do you feel better? You should. You should feel better now than you did before because you have the power to create the life you want. You can do it. Keep watching the show. Tell your friends, tell your relatives. Share, share, share. I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about. We'll see you next week.